Hello, could you hear me? And could you able to see the slide? Okay, everything is done, so we will start our webinar today. Hello everyone, good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to join webinar today. My name is Eric, working at Synology as technical support. In today's webinar, I will share some easy tips for troubleshooting on Synology software to help you guys solve the issue in a short time or speed up the progress if contacting Synology support is needed. First of all, thank you for taking the time to participate in the webinar. In the description, you will be able to download today's slide, and I recommend you guys download the slide first because there are a lot of useful links in the slide. Here is today's agenda. As you know, there are a lot of software in Synology NAS, but we only have 1 hour, so we are not able to introduce all software this time. Therefore, we pick up 3 frequently asked topics in this session, and we'll teach you how to troubleshoot. The first one is CIFS file protocol. Most people probably use it if having experiences on Windows operation system. The second is Active Backup for Business, a whole new backup solution in Synology NAS. With this package, you could backup physical devices, virtualization server, or file server. The last one is Synology High Availability, the best solution that keeps service running from the hardware or software disaster. I will talk about CIFS file protocol and the Active Backup for Business. The last part will be presented by my teammate Jeff, who is expert on this topic. Each part about 20 minutes. In the end, there is a quick exam and survey. Please reserve your time to take the exam and leave any feedback in this survey. Before starting, I have to say that I assume you guys already have a simple concept on each software. So we will not talk about what things can be done by this package. Perhaps a few requirements. Once again, there's a lot of useful links in the slide. Please refer to the description to download slide in advance. Okay, let's start the session. Hope you are ready. Let's go for CIFS file protocol. We will separate the question to 3 categories: connection, domain, and performance. Go for connection first. What kind of problem would be asked by users? 1. I cannot browse NAS in network when using Windows File Explorer. This is the common issue when using Windows clients. I have to clarify that NAS and computer are in the same local network. If not in the same local network, then it's expected. So, how can we do to make NAS appears when facing this issue? There are 4 steps we could confirm in advance. In NAS, please make sure Sandbar service and the Windows Discovery have been enabled. You could find this option in Control Panel, File Service. And most Sandbar related options will locate here. So let's have a quick UI. This is DSM in Synology NAS. So to find these 2 options, we could click Control Panel, File Service, and here you could find Sandbar related option. More advanced feature will locate here. Okay, back to slide. Besides, Windows PC Client has turned on Network Discovery as well. This can be enabled in Network and Sharing Center on your personal computer. If these 2 steps not working, try to enable local master browser on NAS and try it again. But there are side effects like guest account will be enabled forcibly. This is very secured, so please consider this option as the last resort. You don't need to remember all steps. All info is on our website. Just click the link here. or search keyword NAS Windows File Explorer in Synology knowledge base. If all steps no luck, please use Wireshark to capture the network packet and reproduce the issue again. Contact Synology support and provide the necessary info like NAS IP address, computer IP address, as well as packet file. Okay, go on. The second question is, I cannot make network drive on my PC client. How can we deal with this issue? We could check if the server address is valid. There are 3 different types server address could be used for mapping: IP address, host name, or domain name. Make sure the share folder really exists in the NAS and the user credential is correct. For example, if you want to make a share folder named Synology, please check if NAS has Synology share folder. The sandbar service definitely should be enabled, and the required ports are opened. Even in the local network, still need to confirm ports not blocked. Here is the link for you. I'm sorry, the link didn't attack successfully. We will provide later. There is a link to you to check what ports are used by Synology service. Okay. Alternatively, just disable all firewall on both computers and NAS to confirm the connection is working. In addition, make sure the account has at least read permissioned, especially traverse and list permissioned. Speaking of this, how to check permission in Synology NAS? I would like to talk about this in particular because there are still a lot of users ask, does Synology support SAL permission? How to configure, assign, or edit SAL permission? Well, Synology does support Windows SAL permission, and you could check this permission via File Station, same as using Windows File Explorer. Just right-click on the share folder and select Properties. You will get to know which account has permission and what permission include. Clicking Create to add a new permission entry, or select the existing account to edit the permission here. Remember, the account should have a list, traverse, and list permission for mapping the drive. Alright, what else can we check? If above things have done but still not able to map the drive, try to change another computer to verify if the issue will happen. In general, the issue may on domain account, then it's recommended to use the local account for confirming. If all clients and all accounts can map the drive, we could guess something goes wrong on network or NAS. If all steps not helpful, issues still there? Wireshark is your best friend. Using Wireshark to collect network packets and provide to Synology support for further analysis. Reproduce the issue again and use Wireshark to capture the network packet. Then contacting Synology support with your test environment, such as NAS IP, PC IP, addressing, and the account type. Don't forget the packet file. Next, what common question related to domain? NAS already joined domain, but domain accounts cannot use the service or log in DSM. For all domain issues, we strongly recommend running domain status check first to confirm the connection between NAS and domain still fine. Most issues are caused by unstable connection between NAS and domain controller. If domain status check is passed, please ensure domain account have the privilege on the corresponding service. Try to edit domain account from here to confirm if allowed permission has been assigned to package or service. If some domain accounts or group missing in the list, please click Update Domain Data and NAS will fetch the latest data again. Okay, let's have a quick look on DSM again. For all domain users or group, we could click here to edit users, or click domain group edit to assign the permissions to share folder or application. Okay. And if users and group missing from the list, just try to update domain data here. Okay, go back to slide. However, unfortunately, if domain status check failed and the errors appeared, what should we do on those errors? What does it mean? There are several items should be checked. For instance, whether posts have been blocked or not. Since messages are too many, it's not able to put all info in this page. But here are the key points we have to ensure is working. If DC IP is available for connecting, use ping to know if it will respond to requests. Confirm if there are 2 or more devices have the same hostname. Only one hostname allowed in the same domain. If MTU value is the same on all network devices, otherwise, network packets will be fragmented to the different size and lead to connection failure. Please make sure these 3 items must pass in domain status check. If not, NAS is not possible to build a connection with domain server. For more detail, please click the link directly. Okay, go on next. The last question, user may ask why NAS will sometimes show domain offline and back to online automatically. What happened on my NAS? Before get into this problem, let's talk about 2 things when NAS work as a domain client. The first one, when NAS as a domain client, domain controller will assign a random IP address when NAS querying. Suppose there are several domain controllers with multiple IP addresses. If one IP address is no response, then NAS will keep retrying once it can connect to one IP address. Second, domain controller will do replication for updating data between each other. You probably knew this already. However, the replication is kind of low priority in domain controllers. The replication will be done when domain controllers are not busy, which means the modified data will not be replicated immediately. Okay, remember these things and let's check the correction again. Why NAS will show domain offline? This usually happens in multiple domain controllers environment. 2 situations user might experience. 1. NAS cannot connect to the domain server and show domain offline. 2. New edit account is not available or incorrect permission on modified accounts. To discuss these 2 questions, please look at the below chart. This is an example. There are 3 domain controllers, DCA, DCB, and DCF. In this domain, DCA is the main domain controller used for managing. When NAS trying to update the domain data, it will send a request to the DC and then connect to the IP address which assigned by domain server. In this case, domain server asks NAS to connect to DCF. Okay. However, after NAS connecting successfully, this server might be shut down for maintenance or perhaps firewall changed and cause NAS not able to connect for updating the data. This is the first one issued, why NAS will show domain offline. And the second correction, imagine that we add a new user test here. In DCA, this account already replicated to DCB, but always has but in the end, it's replicating to DCF. Now this user try to make a drive on PC client, and this drive is on Synology NAS. So NAS send a request to domain server for authentication to check if test account has the permission. Again, unfortunately, domain server asks NAS to connect to DCF. What will happen when NAS trying to check account permission? The user data hasn't replicated completely, and NAS not able to get a user account or permission from DCF. Okay, if NAS connecting to DCA or DCB, then you will not have such this issue. So how can we avoid this issue to ensure NAS could connect to main DCA or maybe DCB? Very simple. Specify the main DC IP into this field. Yes, don't doubt, just that easy. This could help you solve around 50% issues when NAS in the domain. In the screenshot, the domain controller also has DNS service running, so the DNS server address is the same. But in some cases, domain service and the DNS service might not on the same controller. Okay, remember this thing. Sorry. Keep going. The last part in CIFS SMB protocol, performance. A very annoying question. The speed is slowed when using CIFS SMB protocol. Not what we expect. There are two kinds of situations here. Transferring slowly or opening files slowly. For overall performance issue, please follow the step here to adjust the setting first. Basically, disable all options related to logs, transfer logs, collect debug log, and change the minima protocol to SMB2 and the large MTU value. Besides, features in the share folder are also factors that will affect the performance. Encryption and the data checksum. First one is for security, and the second one is for data accuracy. If performance is important rather than the data accuracy, please consider disabling encryption and the data checksum feature. By the way, you have to recreate the share folder since there are these two can be changed once share folder created. What if users say both performance and the data accuracy I want it all? We recommend backing up the data regularly instead of enabling data checksum, just restoring the data once data corrupt. Here are just a part of steps to improve the performance issue. Still a lot of steps not listed here. How to find the others? And you might wonder, how Synology support remember all steps? In fact, there is one step help us to remember all of this. We just search the keyword in Synology knowledge base, like this. If I have SMB performance issue, then I just search SMB performance in the knowledge base. So where is Synology knowledge base? Let me show you. This is Synology website. Please mouse over to the support and click Get Technical Support. Get technical help here. And you will find all our knowledge base here. Let's search SMB performance and enter. Afterward, you will find a lot of articles here, which may be useful for you. Okay, for this one, what can I do when the file transfer via Windows is slow? Okay. Back to the slide. If all things still not working for you, what can we do next? Again, Wireshark. Use Wireshark to capture the network packet, reproduce the issue again, and so on. Okay. After save the file, just connect Synology and attack your packet file for analysis. This is an example. To use Wireshark to capture the network packet. After clicking the active network interface, Wireshark will start to capture the network packet, and we just reproduce the issue during this time. Clicking stop after all things done, and save this as a file. Afterward, contact Synology support and attack these files to us. Okay. Above are the frequent corrections when using CIFS SMB file protocol. Here is a brief summary of troubleshoot. For the connection issue, then you may need to check server status, permission, server address, or different client. If it's domain-related issue, the domain status check is necessary. Specify the main DC IP if not able to connect to domain server. With performance issue, too many things to remember. So just check out knowledge base for troubleshooting. I just show you how to find it. If all steps no luck, capture network packet by Wireshark. So this is how to troubleshoot on CIFS SMB file protocol easily. You may notice all things could be checked by yourself without Synology support. Congratulations, we have finished CIFS SMB protocol. If you have any question, please leave it in the chat box, and we will have our support engineer to reply to you. After CIFS SMB file protocol, next we are going to present you the most popular backup package, Active Backup for Business. This package released about 1 year, and now it has been one of our popular packages, as it could backup personal computer, physical server, virtualization such as VMware and Hyper-V, and most file servers. On the other hand, users could restore their data by themselves in restore portal, but without administrator permission. Since this is a kind of new package, here we show a brief info for you to understand what Active Backup for Business can do. An interesting info for you is backup Ubuntu physical devices is coming soon. Okay. Another info, Active Backup for Business can only run on BTRFS wallet. So the first question, Active Backup for Business supports what kind of devices? Why my PC client or physical server can be backed? Not all devices or servers could be backed. For PC client, it supports Windows 7 SP1 or later version, except Windows 8. For Windows Server, 2008 R2 and the later version. PC and physical also require an agent install for backup. For file server, as long as it supports SMB protocol or rsync 3, then it's supported. In virtualization, Active Backup supports VMWare 5 or later version. Windows Hyper-V 2016 and 2019 only. File server and virtualizations are agentless backup. You could click link to refer more detailed requirements. Figure out the support device. The most users would ask, when using Active Backup for first time, how to configure the task. Seriously, most users ask this most question for Active Backup. Do you have manual for configuration? Yes, absolutely. Synology does provide manual guide, which could help you configure step by step. Please find from here. Mouse over to our support in our website and click documentation. Select Active Backup for Business in the filter. Afterward, you will find two manuals of Active Backup for Business, Recovery Media Creation Guide, and Active Backup for Business Administrator's Guide. We do recommend you check guides first if you have configuration questions. This could help you understand Active Backup quickly and know how to use it. By the way, there is no best practice that could refer to, since each backup scenario is different. Now all of you understand what Active Backup for Business and what can be done with this package. Then we are going to dig deeper into it. In the beginning, an important thing I would like to share the behavior of active backup for business when running the backup. For file server, very simple, it's file level backup. So active backup just mount the folders through the sandbar or async protocol, traverse all file paths, copy files and folders for backup. The others, PC client or physical server, virtualization, is the image-based backup, which means active backup will take a snapshot first and then upload the snapshot content. Well, do you know how active backup takes a snapshot? Active backup will call Windows or VMware built-in tool to achieve it. In Windows, it's Valent Shadow Copy, as known as VSS service. In VMware, it's included in VMware tool. Usually, you need to manually install on guest virtual machine for some features. The reason I want to share this info is because most errors are related to taking snapshot. For example, you might experience fail to take snapshot, and most users will submit a ticket to Synology for this issue. But actually, this is not relevant with the package, you just knew it. As mentioned, the snapshot is taken by built-in tools in Windows or VMware. As a result, we have to confirm if VSS service or VMware tool is working properly when taking snapshot. Here comes the question, how? How can we check these things? In Windows PC client, please try to create a restore point in system protection. Creating a restore point for the drive you would like to backup, for example, drive C. This could check if disk in Windows PC could take a snapshot. In Windows Server, you may not be able to find out system protection, but you could check if there is a backup schedule run at the same time in Windows Server backup. VSS service can only be used for one program at the same time, which means Windows Server backup will conflict with active backup task. In vCenter or ESXi, no matter which one, just take snapshot to confirm if VM disk could have the snapshot. With above steps, you were able to easily identify if VSS service or VMware tool is fine before contacting Synology support. If VSS or VMware tool works abnormally, we could follow the step here to exclude it. For Windows VSS service, please ensure the service status is running and change startup type to automatically. Here is a path to confirm VSS service status. For VMware tools, just reinstall it and see if it's working. If you don't know how to do that, please click the link here directly. These three are from VMware website. Besides, there are some disk types not supported for taking snapshot. Even VSS service or VMware tools is working well. There is the link. You could refer to know the more detailed limitation. Okay. Go ahead. What can I do when backup failed? How to collect error message for troubleshooting. 4 steps to confirm the error before contacting Synology support. First things, we have to check UI message first. You could find a detailed error in activity, text history, information. There are still a lot of users don't know how to check the detailed message. Second, confirming if this error is reproducible or occurs randomly. Next, confirming if the error only happens on a specific device. For example, PC client or physical server probably install antivirus which might block agent service and cause backup failure. So, you could try to disable antivirus and firewall to verify if the issue will happen again. Also, if it's Windows operation system, please make sure it's up to date. The last step is checking if there is any error message appears in Windows Event Viewer or VMware Monitor. Technically, you could see the error message when backup failed. If you still have no idea what led to backup fail, please contact Synology and attack all info you collect: UI message, system log. If it's agent backup, we also need the agent logs and the Windows event logs for analysis. So, how to collect all these logs? This is the screenshot of error message in Active Backup for Business. Mouse over to the log description, and you will see this error is caused by authentication failed. Then we could check if account or password is correct. For the system log, please go to Support Center, Support Service to generate logs. Make sure System and the Active Backup for Business are selected. Again, if backup failed on Windows PC or physical server, we also need agent logs and the Windows event logs for analysis. Where to find these logs from Windows client? Agent log will locate to the program data folder, which under Drive C. Please copy the whole Active Backup for Business agent folder to any location, for example desktop, and compress it. Do not compress the folder directly, as the latest log may not be included. By the way, program data folder is a hidden folder, so you have to enable view hidden items in Windows File Explorer, or just enter the program data to access. For Event Viewer, for Windows event logs, search event in Windows to open Event Viewer. Please export system and the application logs when backup failed. Okay? Export means save all events as blah blah blah. So let's have a quick look on Active Backup UI. If I facing the backup failed, we could click Activity here, and the text history. Here I could select. I could filter the backup to fail, and click Search. Then I can see there are a lot of tasks have failed to backup. So just click Information. Mouse over to the log description. And here, we could know what caused backup failed. In this case, it's authentication failed. If the UI message is not cleared, we need to generate the logs in Support Center. So let's find Support Center in the main menu. Waiting. Okay, click Support Service. The Generate Log button will here, but please make sure System and Active Backup for Business are selected, and then click Generate Logs. Okay, let's go back to the slide. The next question is kind of setup related, but most users care about this. How to backup the target folder of Active Backup for Business. Of course, we could backup the target folder. Moreover, we recommend using snapshot replication or hyper backup to accomplish it. Just make sure Active Backup version meets the requirements. Snapshot replication is recommended because of the time cost. It's kind of image-based, so the backup and restore speed is faster rather than hyper backup. However, it requires BTRFS file system variant, which not support on all models. If using hyper backup to backup the target folder, which used for file server task, it will have the performance impact because hyper backup will scan all files to check the modified data, take much time on traversing. Okay. Another very important thing you must note: do not copy, synchronize, or manually move the target folder to have the second backup. You will not able to relink the backup task. Furthermore, the backup data will corrupt and no longer available. Last question: why the existing devices will be removed when adding another client? To solve this issue, you need to know how Active Backup for Business identify the devices. Active Backup for Business will use spouse UID and account which used for login agent to identify if it's the same device. If two or more devices have the same UID and use the same account, Active Backup for Business will consider these devices are the same. And you will notice that only one device can be added into Active Backup. We call this a duplicate UID issued. Regarding duplicate UID issued, how to fix this by yourself? We can use the different account to login agent when setting up the task, or customize the UID prefix value to bypass this issue. Here is a link for you to check detailed tutorial. If you have a lot of device have the same UID, please refer to the tutorial to fix it. And here is an additional information in Active Backup for Business on both setup or troubleshoot. Agents suppose Windows good policy for mass deployment or silence deployment. Concurrent task depends on free memory size. Despite set up the maximum concurrent 10, system may be run only 1 or 2 tasks if insufficient memory. Recommended memory size for Active Backup is at least 4 GB. Active Backup can only install on BTRFS variant, but not all models support Active Backup if it supports BTRFS, for example, DS218. If you want to check which model support it, you could refer to the Synology website for this info. Product, view all package, and Active Backup for Business. To check which model supports Active Backup for Business, mouse over to the products. Click View All Packages. Here, clicking Active Backup for Business, and you will see the apply models below. Okay, back to the slide. Although Active Backup can only install on BTRFS variant, you could use ext4 variant to be the destination for file server backup. Once again, I'd like to remind that do not remove, modify, or synchronize the target folder of Active Backup. Too many users modify or remove the target folder and cause backup data corrupt. Even though it's Synology, there is no way to recover the corrupt data. Next is Synology High Availability, which could use 2 NAS to create clusters. Let's welcome Jeff to teach us how to troubleshoot in high availability.
Hello guys, good afternoon everyone. This is Jeff working in Synology as an enterprise priority care support engineer as well. And I will be introducing guys how to troubleshoot SHA cluster as our final software topic. Before we talk about how we troubleshoot SHA, I will give you guys a brief introduction to prevent there's anyone who is not familiar with the SHA. So what is SHA? In brief, SHA combines two Synology NAS servers into a one high availability cluster, or we call it HA cluster. One server plays the role of active server, while other becomes a standby passive server. The active server handles all data requests and services, while everything is continuously replicated to the passive server. So this provides a complete hardware and data redundancy solution in case of any unforeseen accidents occurs. And the passive will keep imitating the active server and keep standby until the active server is failure, which means active server is the server which actually provides the services like iSCSI, SMB Samba, or other file protocol. And SHA use heartbeat connection to synchronize the data simultaneously and detect if each other is still alive. So it's really a cost-effective solution even if DS918 Plus 2 base model can achieve this objective. Once external network is disconnected or broken, the passive server will take over the cluster IP within 30 to 60 seconds, and every service will go back to original state. Here's another case. If the active server is completely down, such as power failure or system hang caused by any other hardware issue, the passive will take over the service as long as the passive server is not able to detect the active server by the external network or the heartbeat connection. But please note that some services like iSCSI connection may be still disconnected since SHA doesn't guarantee a non-disruptive service. User may still need to configure the iSCSI initiator again after the switchover or failover. So we have counted the historic support ticket, and it can be narrowed down to those three kind of categories in SHA. First, setup related issue, and failover, switchover related issue, and the last is disk and space related issue. So let's talk about setup related issue first. Here are some setup related video and documentation in the Synology website that you can refer to, as well as some basic requirements before you are trying to configure SHA, and what limitation SHA has regarding heartbeat connection. So actually the setup process is really simple, but some customers may still miss some requirement when they build the SHA in the first time. So there are a few things need to be noticed. The first thing is you have to, the model must be the same. You cannot use RS1217 Plus with DS1819 Plus as a cluster. So model has to be the same and DSM version has to be the same. And number of the drive and layout of the drives and capacity of the drives has to be the same as well. RAM size has to be the same if you have SSD cache enabled. And the layout of the network port, including heartbeat connection and external port, has to be the same as well. So, in briefly speaking, everything has to be the same on both active server and passive server when you are trying to configure SHA. Those two are the back panel of the active server and passive server. If external network port is using LAN 1 in active server, and passive should use LAN 1 for external network as well. So is heartbeat connection. And we recommend connecting heartbeat directly without the switch and the router in between. And here's an important limitation you have to know, that is, how do I choose the network port for my heartbeat connection? The only thing you need to remember is choose the highest bit connection. For example, you have a 10 gigabits connection. You also have a 1 gigabit connection. Which one will be your heartbeat connection? That will be 10 gigabit connection, since the data needs to be replicated to the passive server immediately, and the heartbeat cannot be slower than external network. Otherwise, the external traffic will be stuck in heartbeat connection. So it's very important. And you can go to this link for more information. Most of SHA supporting model comes with multiple LAN ports. Users can even add additional PCIe network adapter card to increase their bandwidth. The next thing comes to their mind is, how do I utilize those ports as many as possible for providing the network redundancy. The obvious solution is link aggregation, like teaming in Windows or providing in VMware. So SHA does support the network bounding, but with one limitation. Bounding should be created before SHA creation. Otherwise, you will not be able to set it up after SHA created. And please follow the link here to set up link aggregation. And there's one more important thing you should remember is you have to choose the LACP link aggregation dynamic mode and the balance OR for heartbeat connection. Otherwise, the connection of heartbeat might be problematic. And under SHA environment, SHR, DHCP server, IPv6, and the PPPoE will not able to be used. And we suggest, the external network should be using the static IP, and heartbeat connection should use DHCP. So if you have enabled SHA, the control panel of the network will be blocked. So you will need to go to SHA Manager, Network, to configure the network setting, such as IP address, subnet mask, gateway, and DNS server. Let's take a quick look of Synology High Availability we have set up. As you can see, SHA is an active and passive architecture. On the top left, you can see the SHA IP is 0.90, but both units has its own static IP, like active is 0.89, passive is 0.87. So user or clients actually, they only need to access the cluster IP here, and they don't need to care about which unit is actually used. So when failover or switchover occurs, and virtual IP will be still available for providing services. And this is the illustration of the heartbeat connection. In overview here, you can see some basic system information like heartbeat transfer speed and latency, and the low average in active server and passive server. So you can see the low average of the passive server is pretty low because it doesn't provide any services and acts as a redundant unit. In the host tab, you can see the detailed information of both servers as well as some useful function like locating which unit is which here. By this magnifier icon, if you are confusing which one is which, you can use this to finding your active server or passive server. And if you want to change the host name of the HA cluster, you can go to network to change the host name instead of control panel. And you can manage the setting of network interface in here. So please note that you cannot reconfigure the heartbeat connection if you have SHA enabled, but you can configure the IP address, subnet, and gateway and DNS in here. In host tab, you can see each interface of active server and passive server. So let's go back to the slide and see what kind of issue will cause failover. Failover or switchover is the most important part of SHA since the main purpose of high availability is minimizing the downtime of the service, right? So when certain errors occurs, the system can automatically initiate a switchover of the service in order to maintain the performance. The event, we call it failover. So the system might initiate a failover in the following situations. The first, if there's an error occurs on monitor service, for example, iSCSI, NFS, AFT, SMB, and SHA will initiate a failover. Or a storage space on active server has crashed, but the corresponding storage space on passive server is functioning well, the SHA will initiate a failover as well. But volume degrade will not cause the failover since volume degrade still can, passive volume degrade still can provide services. And the last case is when the active server is shutting down or put it up or power is lost. And this SHA will fail over as well. So in short, if active server is malfunctioning, the passive server will assume the role of active server. Therefore, there's a common questions that user may ask frequently. Why active server cannot switch over or didn't fail over to passive server? In the most of the case, it must be something wrong in the passive server. For instance, if you see message unable to fail over in the HA manager, there will be an obvious hint on the top of it. Common reason is active doesn't detect passive server, or there's incomplete data replication still running, or the DSN is updating, power is failure, and so on. So if you don't know what is the root cause is, you can contact our Synology support directly. The next is disk space related issue. It's a bit complicated in SHA architecture, but the only thing you need to remember is passive is keep imitating the active server, including disk layout. What does it mean? Let's see some common question regarding disk space in SHA. In the SHA, the order of the drive is restricted to a certain slots based on the configuration, which means you cannot switch the drives whatever you want. In standalone DSM, you can power off the unit and swap the drives as you wish as long as they are still in the NAS. And then boot it up, the data and the space will be reassembled again. So the data still can be read or write if in standalone DSM. But in SHA, every drive has its own slots. If you swap it, warrant crash or degrade will happen. For example, active server is using drive 1, 2, 3 in a sequence, as well as a passive server use drive 1, 2, 3 with a send order. And you cannot change the position of the disk like this, from 1, 2, 3 to 3, 1, 2, or from 1, 2, 3 to 2, 3, 1. That will be causing warrant crash. Okay, so standalone is allowed to swap a disk after shutdown, but SHA doesn't. As time goes by, some drives may be going bad, and you may see some bad sector keep occurring, or maybe causing warrant degrade or warrant crash. So what would you do if warrant go degrade or warrant go crash? Any issue regarding drives or space, you can go to HA Manager and the storage to repair it, which means no matter the degrade is in active server or in passive server, the procedure is the same. And just to recap, if warrant degrade occurs, replace the problematic drives, go to HA Manager, storage, and repair it. So please note that again, warrant degrade will not initiate a failover. Only warrant crash will. So what if warrant crash occurs in active server? If RAID 5 lost 2 drives in red here, system will initiate a failover automatically to your passive server. So in this case, you just need to replace those 2 problematic drives and go to HA Manager to repair it, same as degrade. What if warrant crash in passive server? So warrant crash in passive server, similarly, just replace those 2 problematic drives and repair. Okay, so very easy, just go to HA Manager to repair it. The next question is, what is hotspare not used on passive server? So I will explain how hotspare works in SHA. Remember that hotspare is only functioning in active server. Hotspare in passive server is just an unused drive until passive server become active server. What does it mean? For example, here's an HA cluster again. Drive 3 on the left is hotspare, and the drive 3 on the right here is an unused drive. When second drive fail, the hotspare drive 3 will repair the RAID automatically. So after the repair is finished, the passive server will kick out the drive 2 as an unused drive in purple here. And then draft 3 will repair the passive volume. That's why we say passive will keep imitating the active server, including disk layout. Therefore, there is no hard spare in passive server. Finally, let's recap the common issue in SHA. First, setup-related issue. For setup-related issue, please use the same configuration on both active server and passive server, and make sure you use the highest speed for your heartbeat connection. Always to check the status of the passive to make sure the passive is ready for failover. Otherwise, you may see failover is not available on HM Manager. Check the passive status. And third, if there's any disk or space issue, just replace the problematic drives and go HM Manager storage to repair it. In the end, to let you guys recap the course today, we have prepared a simple exam and survey on the description. The question in the exam is not too hard. All answers can be found in the slides today. So please let us know if you have any further question, like what topic you would like to learn more, or is the course today too hard or too easy, and so on. Let us know. At last, thank you for attending the webinar today. Any question, please leave in the chat box below. Our staff will help you answer the question as soon as possible. And hope you guys have a good day. Bye bye.